Welcome to SML Total Access, where we break down news, predictions, and more in our Madden League. Now, let's get fired up for SML football.
Welcome back to SML Total Access, the first episode of Madden 25, the award-winning SML honor voted show, the best show on the SML network, SML Total Access. I'm Prime Time, joined again by Matt and Dan. How you guys doing?
Hey, we're back.
Oh man, doing great. Hey, we are a very humble group. That's been proven over time. But
Yeah,
just want to take a quick shout out to our fans for voting us number one. Glad you mentioned that, Prime. A lot of good shows out there, but for us to be number one, hey man, we are grateful for our fans.
yeah, we have a lot of fans. Let's move on to first down. And a big first down here. Just right off the bat, before we talk about SML, let's just talk about Madden. Specifically, what's your thoughts on Madden 25? And Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think my overarching thought is it's different. I'm not saying the meta is any different or the way people are going to play is any different, but the game just feels different. There's just the animations feel different. There's something about the speed that feels different. The way you control your players, everything just feels a little bit different, which I think that's what we kind of want in a Madden, right? Although sometimes I think there's some people that have not adjusted yet, and so they think Madden 24 is better. So it's one of those things where, yeah, you might want something different, but is that always the best thing? Overall, I like it. There's always an adjustment period. I've only played like 4 or 5 games, but there's an adjustment period. There's obviously things that they need to fix. I think that zones don't play quite as well as they should. I know they talked about that. I think broken tackles, I think it's got the NCAA issue where tackles from behind tend to get broken more. That's probably realistic. Maybe I'm not quite sure what the stat there would be, but I would like to see that toned down a little bit. And then the spin move. I think what I've noticed just watching between Primer and the few SML games I've seen, I think the spin has overtaken the juke, but I think it's a little bit stronger. And I think once you see these better backs that have the spin abilities, you're going to see that it's almost going to be like NCAA. But I like the game so far.
That's good, Matt. That's good. I like those perspectives. I like the game a lot. I like the fact that they added in some old plays that have been taken out, so it feels like your custom book can be a lot more flexible, more versatile. I think hopefully that'll help the staleness of the game after we get into like season 5, 6, when everyone's running the same stuff. It's interesting that the passing seems to be more OP than the running, which hasn't been the case for the last few years, especially to start. So it's going to be interesting to see how people adjust to that. I think the issue with the zones is what you talked about, Matt, is more that they took off the ability to put match on or off. And so match now becomes a play call. So if you call cover 3 match, you got match on. And I don't think a lot of people know how to use match. And so therefore, guys are going to get wide open because they're calling a cover 3, thinking it's playing like a cover 3 sky, but it's actually a cover 3 match. And I think those that aren't familiar with that, that's going to take a long adjustment. You're going to see a lot of kind of what you call broken plays / guys get wide open. And I think some of it, not all of it, some of it is just because match is always on when you call those plays.
Yeah, that's good. For me, I think I like the game. I actually think the last 2 to 3, if you include this one, if you count this one, the last 2 to 3 Madden games, the gameplay as a whole has gotten better each year. I feel like EA has actually stepped up their game when it comes to gameplay. That's franchise aside. I know there's been blips. I know there's been server issues over the years, yada, yada, yada. Gameplay itself, I feel each year has taken a step in the right direction. The good to me, I feel like there's no major, right now, as of today, no super OP ability. I do think that spin cycle has capability of being what Jukebox was last year. I feel rushing has been nerfed a little bit, and to Dan's point, I think passing is the way to go this Madden. Therefore, I think there is an opportunity for that skill gap that we've talked about to be kind of widened again. So for the players who kind of maybe take pride in their skill and take pride in throwing the ball and making right reads and not just snapping the ball, holding the thumbstick up and falling forward after you run into your own guy's back, that might be taken away, which to some guys may that may make them happy. I don't see any major glitches. I think it's been a relatively clean game coming out of the gate. Some things I'd like to see improved. The zone coverage, I'd like to see the zone coverage improved. I think that the passing accuracy is a little too accurate for some inaccurate quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson being one of them. I do notice that sometimes the ball goes behind the receiver. He'll still catch it. He may stop his route, which I think is realistic. We've never really got that in a Madden game before, and I think that's a nice little detail where in the past, if a quarterback's inaccurate, the ball's just over the guy's head, the ball's out of bounds. You still see that sometimes, but you also see the ball behind the guy where he has to break his stride. Just a lot of cool little things I think they've added this year. I do think that just like last year, I feel like Madden was a good game last year. People later in cycles tend to complain after they played it for eight seasons. When they played the same guy in the division, they hate that guy they played in the division because they see him every single month, twice a month. But overall, I don't have any major gripes on the game. I think it's going to be a fun cycle, and I feel positive right now. Last year, we seen some issues with release rollout of the game with franchise mode where practice squad guys weren't included in the game in the roster update. We didn't have that this year. So I feel like it's been a clean rollout and the league was able just to get up and going. And as a commissioner, I feel it was stress-free and I feel excited for the cycle.
Yeah, I like the hit stick change. Yep. None of us touched on that, but I like that. We have to time it now. You can't just go hit stick all the time. I also like the kicking change. I think we've already seen that. Even if it's not a missed field goal, it changes the way you would typically make a decision at that point in the field, whether it's punting or going for it. The only thing I don't like about the kicking change, I don't think, and if someone is listening and they can correct me, I would love it. I don't think that you can hold the button down now to try and throw off kick blockers. So I'm wondering if it's going to make blocking kicks even easier since you can't choose when you snap it.
Interesting. Dan, do you have something?
Yeah, no, Matt, I'm glad you mentioned the kicking thing. Just because we crap on EA all the time, but hey, they made a major change to the kicking, and that was a huge gripe last year. Now there's some serious consideration trying to go for a 55-yard field goal or trying to win a game and only thinking you need 10, 15 yards. Matt, I'm not sure if you can hold it down either, so I don't know that answer. The other thing, hey, let's give them credit for they made home field momentum stuff as a on-off switch, and they started off, so it made that just as easy for Prime. So that's another win for EA. So I know we'll crap on the game as the game goes on, but we should give them their due and give them their wins right now.
Yeah, I think so. And I urge people just to remember that as you get used to a game and things just happen. That's just a natural cycle of a game. So far, solid game. Let's move on. SML talk now. Second down. We had the team selection draft. We've all played, or most of us have played a game already. We've all played a game. Toughest division in the SML. What do you think is the best division? Dan?
Well, I think hands down, you look at it on paper, it's going to be the AFC North. I mean, you've got 4 actually pretty good Madden teams, and then you've got 3 past Lombardi winners, and then you got a young and up and coming, hopefully winner down the road, but we'll see on that. But I think there's just going to be 3 good teams with 3 great owners, and then not anyone that's just going to be a pushover. I think the AFC East can get a little bit of credit. I think they've got a tough 1 through 4. I don't think they have kind of the top tier power, but we've seen Doink win 1. We've seen Filthy make some noise, so I think they can make some noise. And then Bean and Meats are again playoff caliber teams. So that's a good division too. I think it's those 2 divisions and then kind of everyone else.
Yeah. Did he say 3 good owners? Anyways,
Wow.
So I would have to agree. I said it in chat the other day. You guys, people let good teams fall. I don't know if it was the fear of the AFC or what it was, but you let a team like the Bengals fall, who, in my opinion, are the second best team in. And I said AFC. I think they might be the second best team in the game. I just played set v lead, and I'm telling you, as a defender, I don't think it's much different. You let them fall, they eventually fall into the hands of someone who is a very good player in QB Stud, who has won some Bardis before. You guys are going to regret it, and I think that propels that division to the toughest. I would say that AFC East, I love that because there's a lot of good talent in there. AFC South is top heavy. I think you and Bomber probably are the biggest top 2 players in a division. Of course, the rest of that division kind of gets rounded out. Looking on the NFC side, just because we haven't talked about it, AFC East, I think you have Paulie, who has 30 plus hours. He's really trying this cycle. You've got Woods, who had a hell of a cycle last cycle and has the same team. And then you throw Straw in there, which we know how Coach P felt about that. And then, the NFC North, you've got 2 Simbardi winners, including the defending cycle GOAT in Dump. And then you got KP in there, who looked extremely sharp against Woods. So I know I just threw out almost all the divisions, but I wanted to give the NFC some love. It's a weaker conference, but it's not like it's a total cakewalk in some of these divisions.
Yeah, I think that for me, it hands down is the AFC North. Matt plays a good style of game that leads to the playoff berths often. Dan, Super Bowl champion. Filthy is just dynamic, and now he's got the Bengals. And then obviously young Hurts, who we don't know much about, but I think he was competitive in Primer. If he steps up and has a good cycle, that could be a bloodbath. For me, I do find a little.
Wait! I got to interrupt real quick, Prime. Prime? You said Filthy was.
Excuse me. I'm a QB stud. Yeah. I was thinking. I
don't want him crying in your DM.
Oh yeah, QB. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yes, you're going to be very dynamic with the Bengals. You're going to be electric with Joe Burrow. And yeah, that's going to be a good one. One thing I do find a touch fascinating is that NFC West. Stavo joined that division because he thought it was the Weenie Hut division. There was better teams than the Rams there. And he decided he wanted to join the likes of NYT and DW and Noel Overlord, thinking that he's going to walk in and just run away with that division. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that last cycle, he had set feet lead at the end of the cycle, and I think the running game helped him with the falling forward. Noel Overlord is the type of guy who one cycle he'll be great, one cycle he won't be so great. I think this is his on cycle. He's got a 49ers team that matches his style of play. Remember, he took the Panthers last year. I don't think they fit him too well. I think this 49ers team's a good team. Watch out for Noel Overlord to compete not only with Stavo, but to win multiple divisions, some playoff games, and maybe make a run back at the Super Bowl. I think Noel had a good cycle 2 years ago, and people forgot that he even existed. I'm just saying, don't forget about Noel Overlord.
Wow, that's a big one.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I want to add to that too. I want to add to that too because we give Paulie a lot of crap, and rightfully so, because he's hunting divisions, and again, that was on full display. But has anyone ever taken kind of a more beta move than Stavo did at this draft? I mean, I think that might be one of the all-time beta moves I've ever seen in a draft.
Yeah, it's sad actually. It's sad.
And he's going to tell you it was the Rams all the way, and he only practiced with the Rams, which that could very well be true, but that was in anticipation that they were probably going to be one of the better teams available. He had the pick of the litter at that spot, at that draft spot, and he went with the Rams, which we'll see if it pays off, but that's a big take to say Noel's going to win that division. I didn't think about it, but that would certainly turn the tide on old Stavo there.
Yes. We'll stay tuned for that. Moving on, third down. Which member is in the best situation to have a great cycle? And when I ask this question, try to consider not only an easier division or a good division, but the team that matches their play, maybe some players that are already great or some players that'll develop well and fit their style. Just overall, who do you think is in a position maybe similar to a dump type for Madden 25?
Yeah, so, well, I think the one that jumps off the page at me is QP. He was kind of in a division from hell for some of last cycle. I know it was kind of a revolving door of owners, but the Broncos just threw 90. I think NYT threw like 5 or 6 picks and still beat the Broncos. AJ is a great player. He hung 500 and some yards on me, but I think QP would take him over Wine, and then QP just flooded Gutta. So I think that division just got a lot easier for QP, and I think he's in a good position to probably win it every single season. But I look over at the NFC side, and I think that it's going to be KP. We saw this guy win a Simbardi last cycle with a very good very good defense in the Jags that he had built. He doesn't really have to do much building here in Green Bay. Kenny Clark is a monster. He's got the edge rushers. I think it's Luke Van Ness and then Gary. He's got the corner in Alexander, and then I think they have another. I can't remember their other corner, but they have a really good defense. That offense is going to be fine with Josh Jacobs and Jordan Love, I think. And then he's in the weakest conference. I mean, really, who's going to come out of the NFC? I mean, if you were to throw your money down, Straw, Dump, or KP, right? And maybe Dom sneaks in there. There's no set feet lead in that conference that I can think of. So I got to go with KP. I just think that's a perfect fit for a guy that loves to play good defense. He's going to be able to do it there.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I want to echo that as well too, Matt, because not only that, but his biggest competition in his division is Dump, and Dump's kryptonite is guys that slow the game down, are calculated, understand what's going on, kind of counteract Dump's aggressive style. And we saw that last cycle when I got to play him, and KP will play the same way. So that's Dump's kryptonite, and it's right there in his own division. I think KP is set up perfect. I want to throw another name out there. I think Filthy, although he's in a very heavy, balanced, good division. Just the potential of Josh Allen's throw power that could stretch the field, where he can make every throw with his style, could really be very, very difficult. I've seen him play with good quarterbacks, good teams, and he can throw the ball all over the field. But if someone can harness Josh Allen, and Josh Allen isn't erratic, which we've seen in other cycles, he can potentially be a real problem if throwing stays the same way for a few seasons here. And I think Filthy is set up really nice.
It's funny. I was actually going to say Filthy for the reasons you listed. And additionally, his division is filled with guys who had good cycles in Madden 24, Doink being one of them, Meats being another one of them. But I feel like it's possible that both of those gentlemen take a step back, and Filthy, his game seems to really fit this Madden when it comes to passing. He's a natural passer. I know he likes college football 25, and that could be his kryptonite, but I do think that Filthy is really set up to have a strong cycle. If I'm going to throw another name out there just for the heck of it, I'm going to say Paulie. And I know his face on draft night was as such that he seemed shocked that Straw took the Cowboys. But I think that Paulie is well prepared. I think that Paulie will be... The thing about Straw, and I really like Straw, he sometimes, and we all do this, but especially Straw has his plays, and he'll run them in key situations. And Paulie, when he sees enough of that, he'll be ready for that. He's got the coach's mindset. Think Bill Belichick. Think Chuck Noll. Think somebody like that. I'm just saying that a lot of people are kind of laughing and snickering at Paulie, thinking that Straw is going to mow him down. I'm not so sure. I am not so sure that that's going to be the case. I really like Straw. He's got a great smile. He should get a Colgate sponsorship. But I'm just saying, Paulie with the Giants, he's got a running game. Quarterback accuracies don't matter right now. He's got all he needs. He's got Torque in the division. He feels confident about beating Torque. I think Paulie feels he matches up well against Woods. If he can get past Straw and learn how to play Straw's unique passing game, all of a sudden Paulie can make a push and insert his name in the contenders in a weaker NFC again.
I think that, and I like the Giants. I actually was talking about the Giants. Gustavo said he was going to get them, and I said they're not going to fall. I actually like them. Obviously, the downside is Daniel Jones, but I think the way Paulie plays, he doesn't really need some super crazy good quarterback. One thing I'll say about Filthy and why he wasn't on my list, I was a little shocked that Filthy went to a team with a quarterback already. He can dev anyone. We've seen that. That Novak guy, I think, was almost a nobody when he took him over. Could be wrong, but I think he could dev a quarterback. I was really surprised he didn't take Minnesota in a weak NFC with an offense that is completely set up and a quarterback that he could have devved in no time in J.J. McCarthy. The Bills have some work to do, and I think that Josh Allen, he could have built one of those, and so it'll be interesting to see what Filthy does there.
It's a good point. It's good stuff. Matt, do you have a 5? Matt, 5 of sorts?
Nope.
We got to spread our love first.
We got to do 4.
Gosh, darn it. Well, who's spreading their love on who?
This isn't Matt running TA here where we don't do fourth down. We do fourth down.
We are.
I know that's against Matt's
we're punting on third down, boys. Well,
no, we're not.
Let's spread our love, Dan.
Yeah, I'm gonna spread it back to the draft because we're too early in the season for anything else. But I just want to give a shout out to all the guys that went ahead and took their favorite hometown team, even when they were could have taken much better teams. Specifically, Tiny. I want to give a shout out to Tiny. He kept saying the Titans and Titans and Titans, and for some reason this year, I just believed him. I don't know if it was just the consistency in him, but I believed him, and he stuck to it. And you know what? He knows what he's into, but he's taking it serious, and he's starting to reach out and get some info, and we're starting to talk a little bit. So, Tiny Man, I appreciate the move. I respect the move, and I hope you have a great season, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something similar, but I'm gonna go with. I mean, I got it right. I got to eat a little crow here. It cost me $50. I didn't expect Meats to go with the Dolphins. I thought if the status quo went with the big dogs in the AFC, obviously QP hadn't picked yet at that point. Or no, he had. So Meats knew that all the big dogs were in the AFC, and he still took the Dolphins. I totally thought he would go NFC. I also thought he had already been the Dolphins, and he doesn't double up, but it was a blip season, so that makes total sense. That's a really fun team with all that speed. I'm sure he couldn't pass it up, but I certainly thought he could. So props to Meats, props to Bean. There's a lot of Pats fans in this league, and none of them are taking that team. I know Paulie posted Drake May gifts. That was never going to happen in a million years. But Bean doesn't care. He says, I'll take that garbage team, and he did. And then I think for me, the last one that I'll give is Doink. I think Doink going to the AFC as well. Again, I thought that was going to be someone else that might run to the NFC. I don't know if there was maybe some personal conflict over there that he didn't think he had a good home, but I think that's going to be a really good division, fun division, and a fun team for Doink to kind of build out. So props to Doink as well.
Yeah, that's a good list. For me, I do want to give a quick shout out to my division mates. Tiny taking the Titans, Colt taking his hometown Jags with a stacked division with Bomber and I at the top. Bomber got his guy, C.J. Stroud, who, by the way, Bomber said wasn't going to be a good NFL quarterback. I said he would, and he's turned out to be a great NFL quarterback. Now he took the Texans. I want to say D. Muse took the Saints. Not a great Madden team. He took them as his favorite team. Double rice, no bean. And 31 SML members attended the SML draft. Only one, T-Steel, did not. So everybody besides T-Steel gets my love. And then finally, I want to give a shout out to a guy who helped the league as a whole to kind of prevent some cheese in the league, and that's Matt 54987, taking Lamar Jackson and kind of preventing somebody who maybe shouldn't have had the Ravens to use them and use Lamar maybe to a cheesy extent. Matt kind of helped prevent that, took the nail, bared that cross, and I appreciate that kind of move by Matt. I respect Matt.
Yeah, anytime I can help.
So.
I shout out to Tiny too, because he's going to. Tiny's going to say I forgot him because I was ragging on him about not going Titans. He's going to hate his life this whole cycle. He's taking a stacked team next cycle, but props to him for literally committing suicide for this cycle by taking the Titans.
It's impressive. Now it's fourth down is done. We scored a touchdown. It's time for the extra point. Matt, what do you got for us?
All right. So I made a preseason list. Not everyone has played. I saw everyone's got a clean slate. In my opinion, none of these owners have played a game. At number 5, I've got KP. I think, again, I just touched on it. I think he really came on last cycle. Even when he wasn't winning Simbardies, he was playing really good football. He played prime tough seemingly every time. And that Packers team, I'm telling you, that ask Woods, ask Dump, ask anyone who used that Packers team or played against it. It's good. I'm excited for KP's cycle, especially since I don't have to go against him. At number 4, I've got Dan. In my opinion, one of the top 3 players last cycle, when you take team into account, absolutely. And that Steelers team, I mean, I think with Justin Fields, hey, he's got a head start on last year with already having a quarterback, and he's still star dev. So I like that team for Dan. At number 3, I've got QP. kind of touched on him as well. I still think that set feet lead is what maybe toned down, but it's not toned down to, to where it's not even any good. So QP was looking really sharp against Gutta. Now, that is a guy he knows really well, obviously being his brother. But the passes he was throwing, he looked absolutely sharp. At number 2, maybe the shocker of everything, I've got QB Stud. I have played this guy a lot. When I got into Primer, he was the Cowboys, and I played him in his last stint here. I think he was in my division, maybe. I can't remember. But QB Stud is, for those who don't know, is a very, very good owner, very analytical, very good player. And you guys just gave him the second best team in the AFC, the best quarterback in the game. You're out of your mind. He's going to do big things with the Bengals. We saw what Dump did with the Bengals, and no offense to Dump, who is a good player, QB has more of an accolade in the SML. I don't know how you guys let that happen. And at number 1, I've got Prime, and the guy who won the most games last cycle. You got your hometown Colts, who actually drafted some really impactful rookies with. Is it Adonai Mitchell?
Yep.
And then I know they drafted an edge rusher as well. Yep. So Prime, I think, right back at it. So that is my preseason top 5.
That's a good list. And one thing I will say to that list, even if the top 5 doesn't shake out like that for the cycle, I think we will see a big 5 this cycle. I think, and I'll go on record now, on September 2nd, 2024, last cycle we didn't really have a clear-cut big 5. This cycle, there will be some sort of big 3 or big 5. Like, it's going to be so obvious, like, who the top guys are because of the way the passing game is versus a rushing game, unless if we see a tuned rushing game with an update. But that's going to be a big deal this year. You can mark my words.
Listen, I know Tiny uses this phrase, and it's kind of become cliche in the SML. But let me just say, the SML is back. When Matt 5 can have Prime at number 1, we know that the SML is back, because no one else in the entire league would have a top 5 and put Prime at number 1. Well, maybe Prime would, but yeah, definitely Prime would. Okay, so 2 people would, and that's it, because there's no way, even as good as Prime is, that he took the Colts, he should be number 1. The team's just not ready yet, but
it wasn't ready last cycle, and he won the most games. So
Dan, let me ask you this:
those regular season games. Okay, all right, that's it.
Let me ask you this real quick, Dan. Colts roster's obviously not ready yet.
Correct.
I win a Super Bowl this season 1. You say anybody can win a Super Bowl season 1. Is it impressive or no?
Yeah. To win a Super Bowl season 1
with the Colts roster
this year?
This year
or last year? This year it would be a lot more impressive. I would be more impressed this year if you win a Super Bowl season 1, because last year the game played right into the Colts' strength with inside stuff and Jonathan Taylor being a stud.
Okay. Oh, that's fair. I'll give you that.
You lose 2 of those things right off the bat. So I think they're better long-term for you than last year, and I think that'll help you. I think last year you got stuck in a bad rut, and you never adjusted, and I think this year you'll do better with that. But season 1, I think the team matters more than the owner.
Okay.
And fair. So I don't think you'll win season 1.
That's fair. Okay.
I don't think I'll win season 1 either. Don't act like I will either. I think one of those stud teams will, but the Colts are not as set up as they were last year.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll give you that. Guys, that's SML Total Access. We're 28 minutes in. A good episode, I think. That was Dan. That was Matt. I'm Prime Time, the award-winning #1 show on the SML network. SML Total Access. Signing off. Have a great day.